Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the generative AI assistant that can securely understand your business data, summarize results, and streamline tasks. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at aws.com/learn more.
Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museum will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisfitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
Welcome back to the Misfit Nation, our Sunday after dinner show. I know many of you are spending time with moms today. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Make sure your families are taking care of you today and every day, not just on this day, every year. A quick shout out to a couple of losses we had in the last few days. Master at Arms, Lyndon Joel Cosgrave Flax, United States Navy Security Forces, end of watch April 28th, 2024. And police officer Jacob Durbin, USLID, Police Department of Ohio, end of watch May 11th, 2024. Keep their families in your thoughts and prayers as you go through your businesses, your life the next few days. Keep theirs in your minds, your thoughts and prayers. Tonight we have a warrior on our show. He served the United States Marine Corps for the better half of his adult life. He was born and raised in Loudoun County, Virginia. He joined the Marines at the age of 17, leading to a career of over 20 years. Most of that time was spent working in special operations with tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. He received his MFA in creative writing from UNCW in 2018. He shares his views on life in a weekly Substack, Think, Read, Write, Repeat, and his thoughts on developing mental toughness through physical fitness on rtfusubstack.com. He shares an empty nest in Hubert, North Carolina with his wife, Tracy, and their Dash and Max. So without further ado, let's welcome USMC veteran John Dailey to the Misfit Nation show. Welcome, John.
Rich, thanks for having me.
It's awesome to have you here at Semper Fi, brother.
Hey, Semper Fi.
So, John, I gave basically just a blurb, a little short blurb about you right there. Tell us a little more about you from as far back as you want to go to how we got in the Marines, what you did in the Marines, how we got here.
Certainly. Before I start, I've been required, I still work for the government, to say that my views are my own. They don't represent the Marine Corps Special Operations or U.S. Special Operations or anybody, really. But I knew from a young age I wanted to join the Marine Corps. You know, the first time I saw a Marine talk to my dad, who had served in the Navy in Vietnam, about the Marines. So I was sold. I said I grew up in Loudoun County, Virginia, but when I started high school, I moved across the border into West Virginia. And we lived very close, walking distance to the recruiter's office. So I stumbled in one day in ninth grade, and it just so happened that the recruiter at the time had been a Force Recon Marine, a scout sniper. He had kind of done it all, and the pictures on his wall. You know, I was sold. And he kind of took me under his wing, let me hang out, even though I was far too young to recruit for a while. And I learned a lot from him, and it solidified the idea. So, really, I spent my high school years looking for ways to prepare myself. So, wrestling in school, running track, cross country, just whatever sports I could play, whatever I could learn. And then I joined the Marine Corps, not knowing how long I would be in, but I loved it, from day one, really. I found a home there, the brotherhood, obviously, that anybody who served understands. And, I had a great career of close to 22 years.
That's a good journey. And for those who don't know, 22 years in the military is like almost 40 or 50 in a normal job life, on your body and your soul, your mind, your body, soul. So that's a kudos to you for that.
No, thanks.
So what was your next journey? I mean, you hung the boots up after 22 years. I know that wasn't easy. It's to say goodbye to the brotherhood. Like you said, I mean, you were a plank bearer for MARSOC. So you were one of the first ones in the door, and the first ones to actually go through it and become the plank bearer, really, for MARSOC.
Yeah.
And then we had to retire. I mean, we all have to. We know when we raise our right hand, we have to retire at some point or get out at some point. I'm sure that was hard for you to walk away and kind of go into the suit role you're in now.
Yeah, exactly. It was less hard for me than it is for a lot of people because I didn't go very far. MARSOC itself started in 2006. I was in the test bed unit, the proof of concept unit from 2003 to 2006. But 2006 to 2008, I worked to help MARSOC get their schools started, their training programs. And then when I retired in 2008, I went home on a Friday, came back, tried to let my beard grow out, came back in civvies on Monday and went back to work. So, when I talk to a lot of Marines now or other service members about transitioning, what I know about really transitioning came from, watching others. I really didn't do much of a transition myself. So it's been good, and I still get to, I don't get to do all the fun stuff anymore, but I get to, work a lot with young, hard charging Marines and sailors, soldiers that come through our courses. And that's a great honor.
Yeah, and you get to see all the new cool stuff that they're getting to do now, the cool toys that are coming out for them, and say, wow, if I had that when I was in, that would have been awesome, but I really loved my X or whatever.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, they've got a lot of cool stuff.
Tactics don't really change as much as people think they do, but weaponry and technology has changed the way tactics are performed. And so you got to see from the brass knuckles, really, 2003, 2006, learning the concept of MARSOC, and then your final 2 years in the dirt with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then now from that point on, seeing it evolve. It's evolved into a pretty good fighting force, I believe, and it's grown a lot quicker than people thought it would.
Absolutely. Yeah, the initial test unit that I was a part of was called Detachment One. And there was about 30 of us that would have been considered operators. And then we had a robust intel section and communicators and all of the things that you need, fighters, folks. But we were a pretty small unit for the first 3 years. And then they grew to now thousands of Marines in MARSOC doing a lot of great things across the globe. So it has been an incredible journey, to be a part of and to watch.
Well, I bet, and to be proud of what you started, really, you and your team when you started at 03, to see what it was when you left, and now it has to swell that pride in you. And every day when you walk in, you see that the Eagle Globe and anchor on the wall where you work, and say, "Yeah, I was part of this. I did this. I made this, and these guys are making it better."
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard to remember sometimes that that now I'm older than most of these guys' fathers, and I just, a lot of times when I see them, in the gym or out running, I forget that I'm, as old as I am, and I want to keep up with them. But it's also great to be, somewhat of a, if not a father figure, like a mentor figure to guys, and be able to talk to them about I think we don't, I mean, like you said, tactics, we know a lot about tactics. We know a lot about planning. We know a lot about a lot of things while we're in, but it's not really until we get out and start getting a little bit older that we start to understand that, the impact that some of those things have on you, and the ability to use a little bit of the wisdom that's kind of been hard won over now. After 20 years of government service, I'm now at almost 15, 16 of civil service. So, I get to, sit down with Marines and give them some things to think about when they talk about, thinking about transitioning, or they think about, weigh in, whether to stay in or what they want to do, or making hard decisions, about their family or whatever it is. So it's an awesome opportunity that I've been given.
It definitely is. And with that many years of service, you got to be getting close to that next decision point when you say it's time to hang it all up and just stay home with your dog and your wife and hang out and maybe go on a book tour with your book.
Yeah. I don't I don't know that I could. I don't know that my wife wants me at home full time, and I don't know that I could tolerate, being at home full time. But definitely the next journey, which for me is a little scary because it really will be a transition into something different. So I've started trying to ease that, by writing. Hopefully, I'll be able to do more of that. I started a coaching business that now it's mostly just for free, and coaching Marines on transition and things. But the idea of working with other people that are interested in improving themselves and getting better. So the idea of performance coaching appeals to me. That's definitely a way to kind of give back a little bit, but also use a lot of the hard-earned skills that the last 40 some years has taught me.
Definitely, and those are skills that you don't want to just let them go to waste. And there's a whole generation that really, really needs guys like yourself who served 2 decades in uniform, almost 2 decades out of uniform, to mentor and coach them and get them in the right direction, or help them find their compass in the right direction.
Yeah, and it's been like I said, incredibly rewarding. As you mentioned, I had the opportunity after I retired to go back to school, and that was I joined right out of high school, joined the Marine Corps, so with no thought of college. I was ready to be done with school, and no college was going to take me. Anyway, but I was able to, while I was in the last kind of post 9/11, I realized that, hey, I'm going to have to start trying to chip away at a degree, and I was able to get one through the tuition assistance prior to retiring. So when I retired, and I retired a little too early to be eligible to give my GI Bill to my children. So I was like, I'm going to use it. So the University of North Carolina was kind enough to let me get a couple master's degrees, one in writing. I've been able to go back there and teach a little bit as a sideline as well. So
that's outstanding. And especially when you put everything you have into the Corps, you weren't thinking about using tuition assistance or whatever they call it in the Corps to get college. Mm-hmm. You were thinking about the next mission. And a lot of guys in our generation did that, put ourselves on the back burner until we got out. And like you said, you did exactly 1 year early before they let you pass the GI Bill off is when you retired. So
yeah,
just before it.
Yes. Yeah. I like I said, I didn't. The story I tell in the book, but on 9/11, I was sitting in a pub in Darwin, Australia.
Wow.
And the television had a soccer match on, or a football match, and it changed to the towers. And I was in there with the Marine Expeditionary Unit, so we had a couple of ships in, and we knew immediately that where we were going from there. So from there we went straight to Afghanistan, and so we were in Afghanistan in November. And after that, coming back from that deployment, I said, hey, I need to take the time when I do have time and just start kind of chipping away at a class or two. And that was eminently helpful. A lot of work, but it panned out.
Especially after you were out of school for over 10 years at that point, almost 12 years probably at that point. And then you going back in, and you're the old dad in the class, really. So it's weird. It's hard. And you have to fight through it.
I tell anybody that tries, goes to do it. I've been shot at a lot of times, but I think I was more scared walking into a classroom full of 20-something, master students than I was of a patrol in the job.
Right, and they were, at that point, they're just professional students because they just keep going one to the next. And you took that big break, so you learned a lot of life lessons and a lot of awesome leadership skills and other skills, but not skills that translate to the classroom right away. And it's a hard transition.
Yeah, one thing I did learn though, and it's I think a little hard for veterans getting out and going back to school to learn, is that they're whatever, all sorts of people in college, a mixing pot of everybody, almost like the military, and just a little there's a little more out there. But I learned so much from people who had never heard of the military, never knew anyone that served in the military, and they, in almost all cases, were hugely receptive to listening to me, learning from me. So I didn't experience the kind of being ostracized like I was prepared for. Nobody. I don't think anybody was going to throw anything at me, or kind of that wouldn't have ended well. But I didn't experience any of that. I experienced, a lot of people that just wanted to learn about me and help out where they could, and so it was it wound up being one of the most rewarding times of my life.
Outstanding. How long after you retired did you start to think about putting your memoir together for Tough Rugged Bastards?
It actually took a crazy little route. I grew up, you could see behind me. I mean, I love to read. I read all the time. And I started that from an early age. And if you love to read, then there's a pretty good chance that you at least try to write. So I did some, writing in high school. I considered, the idea of being a writer, but I was, like I said, college wasn't in the cards. Both my grades and my parents' ability to pay for it. So, when the Marine Corps does not really foster, the creative side of people. So that had to go onto the back burner. But later in my career, I started, getting some articles published in like the Marine Corps Gazette and different just on weapon systems or how we could better change the rifle range qualification and different things like that. And so I'd always recognize that you can achieve a lot by writing. You can get your point across if you're effective at it. So when I got when I started using the GI Bill, I got a master's degree in, well, it was liberal studies. It was really just kind of take whatever classes that you want. And the bulk of the classes that I took were related to literature. So a lot of reading, a lot of, and we would have to write. And one of the professors who was my thesis director said, "Hey, you know that we had this writing program. Have you ever thought about applying to it?" I said, "Absolutely not." But I didn't know they had one, and I didn't. I hadn't really considered it, but she encouraged me, and the first real thing that I wrote was an essay about my time as a sniper in the JOF in 2004, and she thought that was worthy of sending in as my application essentially, and they thought so as well. So they accepted me to the program, and that initial story that I wrote that kind of served as the base for the book. That was for many years. That was all I had written, and I ran into a wonderful lady who was writing a book that introduced me to her agent. I sent it to him, and he read it and said, "Hey, let's figure this out. How can we turn this into a book?" And so he was able to get me a book contract and get to go through that process.
I mean, that's awesome that they seen the skills in you to push you forward, and they pointed your compass to it. And Tough Rugged Bastards came out. Did it just come out this year, or when did it come out?
It hasn't come out yet, so okay. It's available for pre-sale right now, so you could find it on Amazon or Books A Million or Barnes and Noble, but it won't actually come out until August 13th.
Okay, and it'll be on all outlets at that point.
Yeah, everywhere. It should be on audio and Audible and Kindle, everything.
Are you going to be the Audible, or are you going to get like Matthew McConaughey or something to do it for you?
I really would like to. So it's not as simple as saying that I want to do it, because I've told them that repeatedly. So I think I have to audition for it. I think I hopefully have a pretty good shot, because I'll probably work cheaper than anybody else. But yes. It's and so the Tough Rugged Bastard is really the story of that test unit, the Detachment One, that when 9/11 happened, the Secretary of Defense recognized that there was going to be a need for more special operations troops. So the Army was told to make more Green Berets, the Navy more SEALs, and the Marine Corps had opted out of being a part of USSOCOM when it was formed in 1987. Right. So this time they were told, "Hey, this time you're going to play." So the Marine Corps said, "Well, hey, we'll have a small unit. We'll test the concept." And I was incredibly lucky to be selected to be one of the team leaders, one of 4 team leaders for that unit. And our boss was a man that I had previously worked for, Colonel Robert Coates, who was just inducted into the Commando Hall of Honor. He's a legend kind of in the special operations community. But when he called me into his office, he said, hey, you can pick whoever you want to be on your team, but they have to be tough, rugged bastards. And that was, when he said it, I tucked that away. I'm like, that's, if I ever write a book, that's going to be the name of the title of the book. And it took, 35 years, but it finally made it.
I mean, it's here. It's going to be here in April, August. Means that's going to happen quicker than you think. And then I'm sure you're going to have your publicist is already reaching out to get you on shows like mine. I'm going to send you to a fellow Marine brother of yours, David Willis, who has a show just north of here in Louisville. I'll send you his information after this as well to get you on there. And he'll be more than happy to have you on there, talk to you. He's been in the chat all night, so he's
okay, great. Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, they're racking and stacking me with podcasts left or right. This is my second today. The other one was in Amsterdam this morning.
Oh wow!
And it was actually a former buddy of mine, a Marine that lives over there. But it's great to get the opportunity to to meet people to try to and obviously I want to talk about the book, but hopefully if you can, I can use a little bit of time to, say some things that, people might get something out of, then that's great. And I know you guys talk a lot about like coaching and self-improvement and things like that. So I applaud you for that.
Awesome. Thank you. We got a question from a member of our Tuesday crew. As a veteran of MARSOC, did you have to get approval from the Corps to write your book, and did they have to review it?
Yes, Jake, absolutely. And actually from the DOD. So everything, there's an office pre-publication review. So if you're a service member of any active or former, anything that you write is supposed to be reviewed. I mean, fiction should technically be reviewed, but I think that people kind of bypass that. I couldn't afford to do it because I'm still a government employee with a clearance. So it took, I still need the writing gig isn't paying all the bills yet. So I still need to keep that job. And like I said, I love that job too. But once I finished, I sent it to them, and it took them 6 months to finish, because they have to send it to any unit or organization that's mentioned in it. So the SEALs had to review it. USOCOM had to review it. MARSOC had to review it. And then it came back with, things redacted that I had to either change or whatever, but photos that are going to be in it have to be reviewed. So it's a pretty extensive process. And I think mine took a little bit longer than the average, but it definitely had to be reviewed.
And that was the next question was how much got redacted?
Not a ton. And honestly, I tried to be pretty careful with it. I also had a couple of very knowledgeable people from the intelligence community review it before that, then to make sure that I wasn't saying anything that I shouldn't. And a lot of it was things that I wouldn't have thought were important. Right. Some things that had happened way in the past. So it was, you never know, and that's why it's it's important to do to make sure you're not putting anything out that shouldn't be.
100%. And I was told I should write my memoir, and that's the only reason why I have not, because I don't want to go through that whole process. But it's something I think I need to do just to get those 22 years of my life onto paper and let others see.
And it's not. It's time, but it doesn't. I mean, you send it and you forget about it until until they get back a hold of you.
Right. And like both of us, when we first started our careers, there wasn't this big thing called social media. So a lot of the stuff we did is it's not plastered over everything like the new generation is. They can't walk 7 feet and not take a picture and put it on social media. So we are the legacy, I guess, because we hit both sides of it. So 2008, you were right at the cusp of the social media blowing up in the world. I got up 2015, so it was really big at that point. But we are kind of protected in our early career for no social media. Same thing for Willis. He said the same thing too. So he said he had no social media for his career. He said so.
Yeah,
I mean,
when 9/11 happened, we had to wait in line on the ship to go up and punch in your number on your phone card and try to call home.
Yes.
And at a point, they just shut those off too. They're like, hey, no more. So that's it definitely makes. It makes it harder as a young service member. It makes it easier in some ways. It's easier to stay in touch, but you definitely have to be careful about what you post, what information you post.
Definitely, yeah. I'm sure you see young Marines get in trouble where you are, because maybe not so much where you are exactly, but outside of your building, probably in the other buildings around there, the young Marines that post stuff that they shouldn't be posting.
Yeah, it's it's easy to do because we've kind of created a society where everything's fair game.
Yes.
And when it comes to we're having a graduation this week, a class of special operators, and we have to be very, very when we talk to the families that come out, very clear that, hey, don't post any photos of any other Marines, certainly not your own, but you really think about somebody else. They don't have the opportunity to say no. I don't want you to post my photo, so we're pretty cautious about that.
Yeah, Brian posted, we got lucky to make a call, had to have that AT&T card. For some reason, I still have an AT&T phone card in my wallet now, even though I probably will never be able to use it anywhere, but it's in my wallet still for whatever reason.
Yeah, I remember getting those, on deployment, getting those in the mail, and that was a great gift.
It's like a morale booster, but for some reason, it's still in my wallet since probably 2012 or 13. So it just travels with me, I guess. It's a memento.
Yeah, you never know.
So, Robert, where do you, John, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years or so? Because I know we talked earlier about maybe thinking about that next career switch. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's a great question. I've been started thinking about that a lot lately, and within that time, I will definitely transition out of this job. I really that one of the things that I kind of caution veterans transition, and after 4 years or 30, is you've got to find something that's meaningful. Some way that you can. We joined the military to make the world a better place, and we joined to serve something bigger than ourselves. And I think when a lot of people have difficulty is when they don't find something else bigger than themselves to be of service to. And like this show, like whatever it might be for so I think the coaching business is definitely something I want to lean into. I work with or volunteer with a lot of veterans writing organizations and that's a great place. The Lethal Minds Journal is a great opportunity. They only publish veteran writing, but if you're fiction or nonfiction, poetry, whatever the case is, we have editors that'll work with veterans that want to write and work with you until you either give up or we get something that's and the goal is not to get you to give up, but we'll keep working with you until we have something that's publishable, and then we'll publish it in the monthly journal. So that's a great opportunity, a thing that I get to do, and it's one I always try to make sure I put out there.
That's I think Lethal Minds, you said?
Lethal Minds Journal. So they're on Substack, but I think writing your memoirs, writing, is a great outlet. Whether they ever see the light of day, whether anybody ever reads them is almost immaterial. I think it's great to have for your family or your children to see someday, but and it maybe it turns into a book. That's I believe me, I'm still as shocked about that as anybody is.
That's a great thing, and like you said, you're an empty nester now, so your kids can look back and say, "My dad did this," and now they have that. They have your whole memoir that they can put on their coffee table, so they can tell your grandkids when they come if you don't have them yet. So you'll have that.
Not yet, but and that's because the kids and wife, the family pays a pretty big cost. When you're their loved one is serving in the military. So and they don't get to. I think it's just part of the goes with the bargain. That they pay a price and they don't necessarily get to know you as well as they might. So now that mine are grown, it's nice to have the opportunity to have an adult relationship with them and kind of talk to them about, hey, here's some of the times that I missed. Here's what was going on and here's why. And but yeah, it'll be nice for them to be able to read the book and learn a little bit differently about me.
Definitely. And I learned that as I retired, my daughter wrote an essay for the Platform magazine, and it was the Army Brat Life, it was called. And in that, she wrote things like, I had a father, I seen his picture, but I didn't know him. And it just ripped me up inside to read that. And I have it still on my computer, so I can read it all the time to remind me of what I took away from her, or what she missed. Not really took away, what she missed growing up, and my wife as well. And now we're a lot closer now that she wrote that, and I knew it then, because up to that point, it was all their problem, not my problem. Once I retired, I realized I was the problem, and you had to turn things around, help out.
Yeah, and that's part of maturity. That's part of realizing that like David here says, the families serve as well as the service member, and they didn't sign up. They didn't volunteer for it. My wife, to some degree, I was a Marine when I met her, so she kind of, I don't think she knew what she was getting into, but she knew I was a Marine. But yeah, kids absolutely get brought into a world, and there's a lot of good in it too. I mean, it builds resilient children, for the most part, kids that can take care of themselves and fix things. And but yeah, I mean, it's impossible at the time. You can't. And I talk about this in the book, that exact thing, that sitting on a rooftop, looking through a sniper scope at a guy, and then starting to think about my kids, and I can't do that, man. I've got to push that shit to the back burner and deal with the mission. And it's necessary, but when that catches up with you, eventually everything catches up with you, and when that does, you definitely have to spend a little time thinking, hey, I really absolutely wasn't there for my family as much as I could be. I was doing what I thought was right at the time. I was doing the best I could, trying to provide for them and trying to provide safety and security for them. But yeah, it's definitely I know something that some people have difficulty coming to terms with, and that's another reason where writing down like your daughter did. That's if you get things out of your head and on the paper, a lot of times I think you can deal with them more concretely than when they're just thoughts swimming around in your bucket.
Exactly. So, John, we talked about a lot of stuff in a quick period here tonight, and I know your time is valuable, my time and your time both are valuable. You need to be with your wife on Mother's Day. Let her relax, and maybe you make her something tonight, or hang out on the back porch before everything goes crazy with heat down here in the South. How did people get in contact with
you? The easiest way to look me up is my website, and that's jadailey.com, Dailey. There's links to send me a message. There's links to both of the Substacks that I write, and there you can pre-order a copy of the book too if you'd like.
Awesome. And that link.
But yeah, I'm happy for people to reach out, with questions or thoughts. Especially as I've been doing more, podcasts, having people say, hey, what did you mean about this, or I appreciated this. I mean, that's a great feeling to know that people are actually listening and and thinking about what you're saying. And if something that I say helps somebody, then that's a huge win for me.
Outstanding. And I will link you up with Willis and Brian Roof, who's also a podcast host, who was in the chat as well. I'll send you both theirs. All right, do you want me to send it to you directly or to your publicist or to both?
Just to me, it's great. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll send them your one sheet, so you don't have to send that again. I'll send them both as well. That way they frees up one thing for you during the day. And John, if you can give the audience, anyone out there listening, three pieces of advice if they're thinking of joining the service, and how to get through that joining and serve honorably and then have a successful move out of it.
Yeah, I think one of the things I tell our students whenever they show up is that regardless of the branch you're serving, you're going to be challenged, right? And you've got to, before you sign on the line, sit down with a piece of paper and make a list of all of the reasons, that you want to join. And there's obviously you want to serve your country, right? That's number one. Everybody says that, you're a patriot, I got you. But there's a lot more than that. There's you think, chicks or guys are going to dig the uniform. You want to make your parents proud. You want to have adventure. You want to travel the world, all of those things. And you kind of got to weigh that, and when you go through boot camp, when you go through training, it's going to get tough. And when it gets tough, and you start thinking, hey, can I do this? I don't know if I'm cut out for it. You got to start weighing it against all of those reasons, that you had, and keep those in mind. And, if you have a big, heavy basket, of reasons that you wanted to join, to provide a better life for your family, to earn the GI Bill, to get the opportunity to go to college, all of those things, weigh pretty heavily. And they, when it's cold and you're wet and tired, you can make bad decisions. And, before making one of those, just think long and hard about why you started on this path in the first place. Because, I have to do it occasionally. And one of the things I hate doing is talking to somebody who's quit. And usually 5 seconds after they quit, they realize, they would do anything to take it back.
Right.
We don't live in a kind of world that allows that. So, it's a good life, a respectable life, in the military. It has all the opportunity that you can ask for. You absolutely get out of it what you put into it. So going into it with a great attitude, going into it looking to make yourself better and make your country better, then you'll probably do really well.
Outstanding. That's great advice. Hopefully you're listening out there. If you're on that cusp of thinking about joining, remember John started his joining at 9th grade as he walked past the recruiter's office and went and started talking to him. And the recruiter had him at 9th grade. And that's awesome that he had the awesome pictures on the wall and got you in there. John, this has been great chatting with you. I can't wait till the book comes out and we can I can sit and read it and send you back. Hey, this is awesome. Great book. Thank you for publishing it for us. And I'll definitely get you linked up with the other podcast guys.
Well, Rich, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. I had a blast.
Awesome, brother. Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.